Filed this week that claims law enforcement officers are violating the civil rights of African Americans living in one specific Mississippi county.
The plaintiffs in this case say they were targeted for traffic stops and subjected to illegal searches and seizures. Now, I went to the city of Canton to speak with the people who say they not only witnessed the injustice, they are the victims of it.
Please, why are you handling me like this?
This cell phone video is a little blurry, but Quinetta Manning says she remembers the day that a Madison County, Mississippi sheriff's deputy choked her husband very clearly.
I was hysterical because I couldn't believe it.
She says it was last June when 6 deputies demanded that they write witness statements saying they'd watched a man break into a nearby apartment. Manning says they didn't see anything.
My husband decided to tell me that he knew his rights. He told the officer that he knew his rights and he didn't have to write the false witness statement. But instead he demanded. So he beat him, drug him down the stairs. I went along and wrote the statement because I was afraid of what would happen to me or my husband.
Manning says her husband was so badly beaten and scared that he eventually wrote one too.
It really is a permanent state of siege.
Paloma Wu is the legal director of the ACLU of Mississippi.
These types of stories are everywhere in this community, but they are not special. They are simply particularly memorable.
Manning says that the sheriff's department does not treat everyone in Madison County equally. According to the ACLU, Canton, which is 75% black, but represents just 14% of the county's population, accounted for nearly half of the arrests between May and September of last year. Now, the ACLU is suing Madison County, Sheriff Randy Tucker, and members of his department for violating the civil rights of the black people who live here, citing, among other claims, the regular roadblocks and checkpoints they are subjected to. Nick Singleton lives in Canton. He says he's been stopped at roadblocks in this small town more than 20 times.
And it's going to be predominantly in the black neighborhood rather than in the white neighborhood.
Sometimes these are plainclothes deputies in unmarked cars on the side of the road, and the only reason you know to pull over is because someone's flashing a flashlight in your face.
People are treated as if they're guilty before proven innocent.
And although blacks account for 38% of the population countywide, between May and September last year, the ACLU, citing documents from the county, calculates that blacks represented the vast majority of roadblock arrests. During that same time, the ACLU says whites who were stopped were more likely to be charged with DUI or drug crime.
Whereas black arrestees are 300% more likely to be sitting in jail only for a petty traffic-related infraction like not wearing a seatbelt or having a broken taillight.
And there's what the community calls the jump-out boys. The ACLU says they're plainclothes deputies who target blacks for unreasonable searches and seizures, including the home of a 62-year-old great-grandmother.
These jump-out boys pulled up to her backyard, 2 plainclothes deputies get out, run up the patio to where people are having a celebratory family barbecue. They detain everybody, they search everybody, including their pockets. When they can't find drugs, they crawl around on the ground looking for some. When they can't find those, they get back into their unmarked car and they drive away.
That great-grandmother's claim and the claims made by the Mannings and Singleton are highlighted in the lawsuit. The Madison County Sheriff's Office did not return our calls, but in a statement to the Clarion Ledger, Sheriff Tucker said, "Our deputies are professional law enforcement officials who enforce Mississippi laws. If a law is broken, appropriate action is taken regardless of the race of the one breaking said law. As always, we have fairly and diligently executed the duties for which we are required."
Everybody in the area where the black community is have a story about Madison County.
People we spoke with say blacks have been targets for decades. Despite fears of retaliation, Manning says she wants a fairer future for her 3 sons.
I just don't want my kids to grow up afraid. I shouldn't have to go outside and be scared every time I see a police.
Well, the people we spoke with say that the roadblocks are so common. There is a Facebook page with more than 1,700 followers who post and read that Facebook page to get a heads up on where they are around this small town. Now, as part of the lawsuit, the ACLU is asking a judge to order monitoring of and training for Madison County deputies, plus damages for the victims. But above all, they're asking for a community board to give the people of Madison County oversight over the Sheriff's Department's policies.